Foxy's videos of the week. This is the weekend before the last weekend. I only have one serious story tonight. Only one serious story. And I'm going to be very transparent on this video. I don't know how real it is. That may be me being realistic or it may be cynical. I don't know. But that's for me to figure out personally. If this video is real, kudos. It's something that I've always advocated for because it was something that I always grew up on. If it's not, I'm not shocked. I'm not appalled, mad, blah, 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 all that other stuff. I'm just not, because my expectations have already been lowered to that point in a way. So here's the video.
What this church did literally made my jaw drop.
I'll never forget the morning that I saw an article about a group of Muslims who had bought 30 acres and were planning to build a complex. When I saw that, my stomach kind of tightened up. They were going to be right across the street from us. I felt that ignorance and that fear. So I prayed. I said, Lord, what are we supposed to do?
It is a difficult time for Muslims in America. We did not expect to be welcomed. We thought we have to work hard. And one day we were driving by and we see a banner. And that banner says,
Heart Song Church welcomes the Memphis Islamic Center to the neighborhood.
Me and my wife both were thinking about leaving church because I just did not accept what was going on.
Lord, we are so humble.
I went to Pastor Steve and asked him, I said, what are we doing? He told me to read the Gospels. When I read through those Gospels, and I figured out I was the problem. What was going on with the world today? I was the problem.
On coat drives and food drives, and close to 9/11, we do a blood drive together.
I would have never thought that I would be friends with Muslims right here. And I love it. It's kind of like my world got bigger.
We are a better congregation now. We are better people because of this friendship with Heart Song.
It's an amazing friendship that I can't imagine having missed out on.
How's everybody doing today? Well, cheer louder if you're having fun.
Let me say this real quick before I open it up to the panel. I have been, I'm not going to say I am sick of. I have been sick of this for the longest time. Because I know my history, not as great as everybody else. Not even close. I mean, I'm still learning stuff and I'm in my 50s. White America has a history of demonizing bad people, all the while ignoring you. So let's go back to World War II. You demonized all of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go a little further ahead from that. You demonized all of Japan, to the point you had concentration camps. Doesn't matter who that person was of Japanese descent, didn't matter at all. It was, you are Japanese, we're going to punish you. And I'm not even going to get into an argument about good, bad, or ugly of what Japan did during World War II, because that's not my argument, and I'm not going to start off with that. My point is, you demonize all of Japan for what Japan did. And you punish all of Japanese Americans, Japanese descendants. It doesn't matter, for the protection of what you did. Just like what you did to Germany, because of a cluster of what?
I'm just trying to see where you going, dog.
You don't think that they bastardized all of Germany because of what neo-Nazi, well, not neo, that's stupid, because of what the Nazis did?
The Nazis were the actual government.
But you bastardized the whole country of Germany.
Yes.
It was German.
When you go to war
Everything
with
German.
America, you go to war with America. When you go to war with Israel or Afghanistan, or you go to war with the nation.
I get that. The funny thing about it is, have you ever noticed?
I was with you with Japan.
Okay. Now let me go ahead and just skip all the way to the beginning. I mean, all the way to the end. Then have you noticed that we never go to war with white America?
No, because that's us.
It's a cute slogan, but let's go really deep. It's a cute slogan that we are, but we really never have. When we had the Oklahoma City bombing, which was a white Christian American male, did we go to war?
No.
Okay. This church basically said, I have an issue with all Muslims.
Yes.
9/11.
Yes.
I'm not finna sit there and just look at this whole situation and go, that's the way it is. Sorry.
No, I'm not saying that.
But you're not saying
I'm
it.
just saying the parallels you were drawing, I was a little lost, but I'm trying to get where you're going, not nitpicking as we go. You know what I mean?
It's the funny thing about it is that we can look through history, which again I have said on this show millions of times, they've never attacked something that they're not afraid of. The thing that they're attacking is history. If you look through history, white America has done most of the most outrageous, disgusting things to this world that you can think of. You celebrate Christopher Columbus, I will put this out there. Please go study Chris. And think if you go feel the same way about Christopher Columbus Day next year that you feel like this year. But you so whitewash Christopher Columbus, it ain't even funny. That dude was a monster. Pure monster. I'm not even saying bad.
And greenlit by the Pope. Yes, there's a whole lot of stuff in there.
He also wasn't American.
Andrew Jackson. Please go look at that dude's history.
Andrew Jackson depends on the perspective you're coming from. All these things depends on the perspective that you're coming from.
There is a case, though, that in when we were both in World War I and II, that there was an anti-German sentiment that went out. It was beyond the government. It was to everyday people. Like, people were changing their names because they didn't want to seem German.
Yes.
Right?
Because we are a nation of immigrants.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
Hold on. Harry S. Truman, and everybody keep asking this. Harry S. Truman. And the logic was, the humor was, what did the S stand for Harry S. Truman? And they said it stood for nothing. That's not true. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was an Austrian middle name. And Harry knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that if that middle name got out, there was no way in the world that he would have been elected president because it was too close to foreign. So he put out the rumor himself that the S stands for nothing. My parents just gave me an initial for S.
But it's always easier to look over there than it is to look here, which is kind of what the argument that you're pointing out. So with
what am I looking over there?
Germany,
I'm looking at us.
Huh?
I'm looking literally.
That's my point, though. When we talk about World War II, World War I, we talk about any other nation, any other country, you name it, whatever. It's very simple because we can do a broad brush on things over there because the nuances aren't as important to the discussion, so to speak. Right? When America attacked Afghanistan, because Al-Qaeda had training camps there, they did not care that the people who actually attacked America came out of Saudi Arabia. They went after Afghanistan because it was a softer target. Who cares what happens over there? But you look at America and you're like, well, did they ever go to war with white America? Not really, no, because how do you go against your cousin? How do you go against your uncle? Last time America went up against their own family was the Civil War, and they don't ever want to do that again. So that's why we get stuck in these nuanced battles where, like, okay, well, we passed the KKK law, but didn't actually try to get rid of the KKK. Just wanted to make them smaller, right? You got the white nationalist shit that we got going on right now. They don't ever go in. When's the last time you heard the FBI raided a militia camp or broke up a militia? No, not doing.
We did have the ones where they stopped the weapons truck, though. The U-Haul.
Did they go in and wipe out the camp, round everybody up, put everybody up on charges? They ain't doing it because after the David Koresh situation, they're scared to do that. So we had Dylan Roof. I'm using him as a quick example. He went in and murdered 9 people in the church. He had white nationalist symbols on his clothing, on his paraphernalia, and whatever other shit he had going on. But they went after him as an individual. They did not go after the militia he was tied to. They did not go after his social network, not at the level that was public and front facing. So it's real hard for America to look at itself. America has never been able to look at itself, ever. Right? You pointed out some really good points about like the Japanese internment camp, but America has had internment camps since the beginning.
Yep.
They put indigenous people in internment camps. They put enslaved Africans in internment camps. They put the Japanese in internment camps. They put the Chinese in internment camps. They put the Haitians in internment camps. What we just went through with the El Salvadorians and the people from Central America coming across the border and losing them in cages and all that shit, that's an internment camp. Mm-hmm. In the moment, we don't call it that, but in a few years, we will.
Mm-hmm.
So this is America. this is what it is. But to that church situation,
which was real.
I'm like at war with myself with this one, Marlon, because on one hand, that breakthrough is the type of breakthrough that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Though I am highly doubtful that it really changed the hearts and minds for long, because that's a dated story. So I'll be willing to bet most, if not all, them jokers are Trump supporters today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So did they really have the breakthrough, or did they find their exception clause? Right? I still don't like Muslims, but I like you. Right? That type of thing. Proximity brings familiarity, which means now you find a level of acceptance and all of that. And that's why I say I'm at war with myself, because on one hand, yes, good story. I'm glad that they were able to work past the obstacles in their lives to find themselves in a situation where they see the humanity in each other. But once again, it took the one that was under attack to come to you. Right? It still took that. They still had to prove themselves worthy for you to see them as something other than what you originally cast them to be. And that's the other side of my battle, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the typical white American who needs to actually feel it, touch it, experience it in order to have a breakthrough. That is an incredibly slow process. And too many people are dying and losing their freedom as you wait for the right situation to crack your hard shell and see that, oh, we're all human beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let me say this real quick, and then I'll give it to you. This is why I feel the way that I feel. Best believe it's going to take some years, if it ever even happens. Remember what I said at the beginning of this? I don't know if this was real or this was a play or whatever. I have to fight in myself of, this is the change that I want. But when I get the change that I want, I have to fight myself of going, but is it real or not?
And why did it take so much to get that little bit?
Yeah. And that's what bothers me. I get what I asked for. This is what the changes that I want. And you could put that on XYZ or whatever subject that we have ever brought onto this show. And when we get it, we are so stigmatized at saying the word but. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is we get exactly what we asked for, but we're waiting for that loophole. We're waiting for that, but why? When we ask for something and we get it, we're kind of like, I've said this to somebody before. Remember when somebody tells you something flat out, this is what you need to do, or this is my statement, or this is my stance, or everything else. And they look past your statement and look at it as if it's a piece of paper, and they flip the piece of paper to look up under it to see something else, instead of flat out taking what you just said at face value. And I think that's what I'm coming to now. I see what it is that this church has done, but I'm looking up under it to see, well, why? Why?
For 400 years, it's taught you better look up under it and see what the hell else is going on. But you can't allow that to completely obscure what you wanted. See what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say I'm at war with myself. And that's with OUC, that I'm building. That's part of it, right? I have a part that is come one, come all, because I want us to build those personal bridges, even if the communities never come together. At least you individually might have the opportunity to make a new white friend, make a new Latin friend, make a new black friend. You as an individual have the opportunity to have something new in your life. And then on the other side of it, I'm trying to strengthen my community, and I'm focused on my people. But I'm doing both of these things because I think both of these things have to happen. And that is represented in what we just talked about with this church. Because on the one hand, they are doing something. They're taking a tangible step toward better. But we have to be aware of our history and the motivations and the current events, not just history. Ain't gonna reach back 200 years. We would look back right now, and you need to be dubious of what's going on. But that's just keeping your guard up. You must also say, but are they doing, or are they moving in the direction that I said that I wanted them to move? And if they are, how do I find the grace to give them the room to be better than I think they are?
To grow. Yeah.
And that's hard, because you give that grace, and history has shown that the repayment for that may be your very life. There haven't been a lot of examples of the repayment being kumbaya. But you want kumbaya. And this is a step towards kumbaya. So it's like you have to live in both of these worlds simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's why this is so hard.
All right, Anna, you have the last word.
Just that this was a real story in Memphis, Tennessee. The Heart Song Church is a Methodist church, and it happened in 2020. So yeah, in a way, it's sad that they needed to be reminded of their own scriptures. But I'm really glad that they did go and look at them again, and that they did welcome this mosque in town. What it's like today, I have no idea.
Well, that's the other thing. So just quick Google searches, they got the issues too. But it's like, once again, we got to decide what we want and then work towards that thing and know that it's going to be imperfect and all of those different things. I know going in, I hold certain biases. I have been studying my people's history in this country for the last almost 15 years now. So I'm seeing the patterns. I'm watching the things. Those of you who have known me for more than 2 years, almost everything we're experiencing, I called it back then. Because nothing's new under the sun. Right? We got, it's the same play, new actors. So from what I can see, this is going to get worse. It ain't going to get better. And it's going to be that way for probably the next 5 to 15 years-ish, because we're in the midst of white backlash, or we used to call white lash. So white America has shown they will do some really fucked up shit for like 40 years. And then they'll have a guilt thing, because then after those 40 years, their children have grown up, so their children want to be opposite of their parents. So you'll have a guilt streak, and then for about 5 years, they'll be nicer. But then after those 5 years, backlash comes back around. So it's usually like a 40-year bad, 5 to 10 good, 40-year bad. That's just kind of how this shit runs.
Do you remember the period of about 3 months right after 9/11? Like,
I remember immediately after 9/11, we was kumbaya.
It seemed like
it wasn't real.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was real. It was real. It was a human. It was an event that allowed for you to go beyond the normal struggles and battles, because we could have a unified enemy.
Exactly.
If you can give us a unified enemy, then you can have the appearance of unity. But America's never had unity. Like they look at World War II, the greatest generation, and they talk about how we were all united. And we were like, people were not eating canned foods and they were donating all their metal and they were working for free. And the women were able to finally get jobs in the warehouses and the factories and all that. Great highline story. Underneath that, still had segregation, still had lynching, still had different facilities for the soldiers who were actually over there fighting. Still had it where German POWs were taken better care of than black soldiers who were literally dying on the field. So the whole thing is just a muddled mess, but it allows for a great patriotic story because you look back and you're like, after 9/11, the whole country just came together. No, the whole country had one person to hate. That's all. we had a villain. You give us a villain, let's go. Right?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying was I think the whole after 9/11 was fake too. Because now the people who were Muslims and who was already in this country who had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11, they was bastardized. And it's like, are we really all together, or are we looking at the majority of America? And
well,
if you want
first
to look
thing
at
you
the
got to
majority of
realize,
America, yes, the majority of America was together because your common enemy was something who had absolutely nothing to do with what happened.
and your common enemy was a caricature. So if you remember, they weren't just attacking Muslim people, they were attacking sheikhs, however you pronounce the right way their thing was. Sheikh?
Sikh, not with an SH, it's just Sikh. Yep.
Right? They were attacking anything that looked Muslim, okay? So, or looked Arab. It didn't matter. And then they had all the vitriol that normally, like you think about all the horrible words that have been used for black people. And they turned around and used those same terms for anyone who was Middle Eastern. They just put sand in front of it. I know y'all heard the term. So this is America is a horrid, horrid place, but the world is a horrid, horrid place. So we had a different enemy. And remember, they didn't take the Muslim community and put them in internment camps per se. What they did was they unleashed the FBI on them. They expanded the surveillance network on them. They used our shared hatred and bigotry. And I say our because every community all of a sudden mattered when it's time to be able to do something horrible to someone else. But the reality of America is if you're not black, you're not white, you're some level of invisible. And that's the sad reality. Because if you're Asian, you get lumped into a huge bubble of Asian, even though that's the most diverse group of people on the fucking planet, right? But they get put in one bubble, they're called Asian. And then they're placed in proximity to whiteness. If you're Indian, like from India, even though you look like us, you are still Asian, so you get put closer proximity to whiteness. If you're Latino, unless you pass for white, you are treated like a one-off from black. So you're put in that bucket over here. In America, it's black or it's white. And then where do you fall as far as what we want to just kind of sift you to? But truly, no one matters but black and white.